It's time for Twig This Week in Google. There's all sorts of good news. Google is starting a local journalism fund. We'll talk about a better way to get a haircut in the quarantine era, and a little bit more detail about Apple and Google's plan to track COVID contacts. It's all coming up next on Twig. This Week in Google comes to you from Twit's LastPass studios. Stay in control when it comes to your company's access points and authentication. LastPass makes enterprise-level security simple for your remote workforce. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 555, recorded Wednesday, April 15th, 2020, soured on sourdough. This Week in Google is brought to you by Worldwide Technology and App Dynamics. Together, they help you build and deliver high-quality applications at velocity. Are you ready to transform your business by updating or adding a mobile app to improve your customer experience? How about streamlining your work to be more efficient with apps? WWT makes your vision a reality. Visit wwt.com/twit1 to get started. It's time for Twig This Week in... For Stacey, she's face-palming already. This Week in Google, the show where we talk about the latest from the Google-verse, the Facebook-verse, the Twitter-verse, and everything else that we want to talk about, because it's really a show for Jeff and Jeff and Stacey. Oh. And if Gina were here, Gina, to talk about whatever is on our minds. Gina, Stacey's predecessor, the great Gina Trapani, who was
the old prior girlfriend problem.
Prior girlfriend, prior co-host, our founding member. You know what I'm doing? I'm a little nostalgic right now because tomorrow, I think, will be the 15th anniversary of the very first Twit episode.
Oh, wow. Congratulations, Leo and Jeff.
So we're having a 15th. You see the bugs on the screen that we are having a 15th anniversary.
God, we've been doing this for 15 years.
Yeah. And I'm bringing back
that's enough. Goodbye.
I know. I had this kind of fantasy, as one does at 4 a.m, of on Sunday we're doing the 15th anniversary show, and it's a reprise of the original show with Kevin Rose, Patrick Norton, and Robert Heron. Same 4 people. And I had this fantasy of, at the end, saying, well, that's it. See ya. I hope you have a good life. Bye-bye. That will not happen. I will assure you. We're going to keep on going.
15 years. Congratulations,
15 years.
Leo.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Pretty proud of that. One of the longest running podcasts. I don't know. Is there anything that's been running longer than our Twitch show? I don't think so. Everybody, I'm in the big studio, but it's kind of weird. I feel like I'm surrounded by bank robbers because everybody's wearing masks now. Sonoma County, the county we're in, has announced starting tomorrow that everyone outside of their home must wear a mask at all times.
Just like New York.
Is that what it is in New York now?
That he just decreed today. Well, our
we did it
president
yesterday.
in absentia, yes.
Governor Cuomo?
Yes.
So I think that's interesting. So the challenge is if I have a mask on, I don't think you can hear me quite as well. So I don't know I don't know what we're going to do. It's relative if everybody else is wearing masks and we've set this up so that nobody ever uses the places that I broadcast from, either my office or here. Nobody comes over, nobody moves anything, nobody touches anything. This microphone is presumably contaminated, this computer, this mouse, this keyboard, but nobody's allowed to touch it, ever.
They all have Leo cooties.
And they stay, Jeff's 20 feet away from me with a mask on. So I guess we'll be all right. Technically I'm supposed to wear a mask, but I think... Given
what Cuomo ruled is that in cases where you cannot social distance, which is 6 feet,
right,
you put the mask on.
This is a little more draconian. They say you should always have it on. So, and then there's the issue: where do people get masks? That's why I am embarking on my sewing adventure, which I'm quite enjoying. I realized all of those T-shirts. You know how it is, Jeff. Over the years, a lot of T-shirts.
But no, Leo. I think swag bags would make a better filter.
Apparently they do. The best, somewhere I read, I don't know if it's true, that the best material is blown polypropylene, the kind of material used in reusable grocery bags. It's kind of a plasticky feeling, but you can breathe through it. And apparently, those are the best. That's the best material.
My wife got vacuum cleaner bags.
Yeah, I have.
Adventure.
No, those are bad because don't they have fiberglass in them?
Not all of them.
Oh, okay. I was like, no, don't do that.
The New York Times recommended EnviroCare, which is what I got. And I'm sorry if you have. I got the most obscure vacuum I could find. So I didn't want to deprive anybody of actual vacuum cleaner bags. But I only bought one set of 10. But I'm going to use those as interchangeable filters in my masks. My mother said, you should sign the masks. You could sell them as a designer. They're going to have company logos, but not the whole thing. It'll just be like, ITER. And I'll do it at an angle. So you'll know, it looks familiar, but you won't know what it is. Because it's all those old T-shirts I'm cutting up.
Here's I'm going to put this in the chat. Oh, no, why did I do that? The guy who cuts my hair.
Yeah, what's he doing?
Video? I'll show you. He's cutting hair.
How is he cutting hair?
It's in the.
It's in the video.
With sound down. There's no sound.
Good. I don't need sound. Let's.
I put it in the.
Let's roll the tape. Here's the guy who cuts Jeff's hair. Oh my God!
James.
This is actually your guy.
This is my guy.
Jeff, do you see my screen? There it is. So James Vigliotti in Warren, New Jersey, Hair Studio 101. He's in a tent. I've never seen a standing tent.
I haven't either. I'm trying to figure out how that works.
And then he's cut holes in it. Did he build a tent?
Because they sell those kind of tents for like changing at the beach, you know?
Oh, that's probably what it is.
Really? Oh.
So you sit in front of him. He reaches his hands wearing gloves through the tent. He's wearing a mask, and the tent protects you from most of the fibers. And that looks like a pretty good way of doing it. There might be a little leakage. I'll have to get one of these for my hair cutter. Sure would be nice.
Yeah, I'm getting tempted. So I have a beard trimmer, right, with various settings.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if I just do it.
I tried to convince Andrew to do a buzz. I was like, just buzz it off. It's going to grow back by the time you're in.
We have a new sponsor coming. You perhaps heard of Manscaping. And they sent me one of their Manscapers. You're not supposed to use it anywhere above the waist, but I think I could. It might look like a giant testicle, but other than that, no, my hair, I'm going to be able to do a man bun. I'm going all the way.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there too.
All the way. Going to have a ponytail, baby. That is.
Me too.
I have quite the bouquet.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Your hair is shorter than mine right now.
I know. The back is horrendous. I'm like, ugh.
What do you do? Lisa mentioned that suddenly in a couple of weeks, everybody's going to know what everybody's real hair color is.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
This is mine.
You can't get. Well, see, you're good. You're
I thought it was blue. I thought your real hair color was blue.
No, I took the blue out. Although they did some brown dye over it, so now it's kind of green.
I really hate it when if you don't get the chemicals just right, it can really fry your hair. Google has launched this is following in Facebook's footsteps, a journalism emergency relief fund to support local news. Jeff, good idea?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep straight all of this. So it's both the Google News Initiative and Google.org. So Google.org gave directly to an effort at Columbia and International Journalism something or other. I'm forgetting suddenly.
That was part of the $800 million they committed, which was mostly ad breaks, ad deals, but still some of it was actual cash. This one, so Google has not detailed the exact size of the fund. This is from 9 to 5 Google, but earlier this month committed $6.5 million to fact-checking efforts related to COVID-19. Applications today will open for local news operations. They'll close April 29th. Approval will happen on a rolling basis. They'll ask for basic information, overall organizations, and how the funds will be spent. It's available for publications all over the world: Asia Pacific, Europe, Middle East, Africa, North America, and Latin America, but not for any Antarctic newspapers. At a higher level, Google requires that funding goes toward, quote, original news for local communities during this time of crisis, not, for instance, lifestyle sports, although I think sourdough recipes probably would qualify.
I think so, because everybody's doing them.
Actually, there is now the sourdough backlash. Did you read that?
No.
I did. That's silly. People have been baking and being all fancy about their sourdough forever.
Yeah, but a lot of us, because we're stuck at home, bread is a little hard to come by, have taken it up again. But then there are people saying, if I have one more sourdough, anything, I'm going to.
I love sourdough. Love sourdough.
I made sourdough waffles today.
Oh, you know what? I made sourdough pancakes last week. They were fabulous. Because one of the problems with sourdough, as you feed it, it grows, right, Stacey? And you get more.
Oh, yeah.
There's more every day.
Notice, everybody, he asked Stacey. He knows I don't know crap.
You don't make sourdough. I could tell. You're just a sour puss.
We haven't had. We're queso people.
Hey.
And suddenly it's like the Cuomos. It's like that is the funniest thing to watch Governor Andrew Cuomo on his brother Chris Cuomo's CNN show. They're confused
awful. The hell. Europeans come up. Well, isn't this an ethical violation of ethics?
CNN for years did not allow that. They would on Chris's morning show apparently, which I never watched, but apparently he would have to step aside and let another anchor do the interview when Governor Cuomo was on.
I think in that case, they're right. But in this case.
Now it's a different matter. Chris Cuomo himself has COVID-19. He's doing his show isolated in the basement. It's actually been pretty dramatic watching his ups and downs. He's had some. He's not.
How's he doing lately? Do you know?
He seems to be getting a little better. I watched last night. There's a test. I guess if you go off the NSAIDs, go off the aspirin or the ibuprofen or the Tylenol, if you can stay fever-free for 72 hours, you're considered, I don't know if cured is right, but you're considered on the road to recovery. And he said he tried that and he didn't make it. He got a fever in the last 10 hours of the 72. So he's still sick.
It's rough stuff. It is rough stuff.
And
I'm finding out people I didn't know had it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot. They're just suddenly, oh yeah, you didn't know so-and-so had 3 horrible weeks.
Well, it isn't
like, how did I not talk to a friend for 3 horrible weeks?
It isn't always horrible. We still don't know if my son had it. Came back from Bali on the 28th. Got sick. Went into self-quarantine. Got sick a week later. So that sounds like to me it's not a cold. You would have gotten that quicker, right? But his symptoms sounded like a cold. He did have a dry cough. Did not have a fever. He had a bad headache. He had muscle aches and was weak. So he had some, but not all of the symptoms. He has mostly recovered now. I think he's fully recovered now. But we could never get him tested.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
By the way, how did he get home?
He got a mostly empty flight through Tokyo on United.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't too expensive. I think they're really cheap now. They've gotten a lot cheaper now.
I'm trying to find here. So one of my favorite. So I'm going to plug my Twitter list, my COVID Twitter list, bit.ly/COVID Twitter list, where I have more than 500 epidemiologists, virologists, infectious disease physicians, frontline doctors, researchers, NGOs, and a smattering, a soupçon of journalists. So anyway, in my list today, I've got my favorites. I've got a lot of favorites. And one of them, Andy Slavitt. So Andy was ex-Obama healthcare head. And he's very outspoken and very smart. So he went out for a field trip today and got just to see what it was going to be like, to get an antibody test. He had no antibodies because he hasn't been sick. It cost $99 from some company that was just doing it.
Blood test?
Yeah, I think so.
So this is, because that's the only place the antibodies live is in your bloodstream. This is something people have talked about as being the next step, but you have to draw blood. So a home test, as a diabetic, I have no trouble pricking my finger, getting a drop of blood, putting it on a test strip, which is what the process is. So I could do it easily, but I don't imagine if you've never done that, it's something you would know how to do.
I grew up with a diabetic, so I'm used to watching it, and yeah,
it's not painful, it's not hard. But
do they have the automatic injection things where you just go thunk and then you tap it, or do you have to actually prick yourself with your own pin?
I would imagine that the kit would include a tunker.
The Thunkers are very easy to use.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I used to. So our last cat was diabetic in her last year, so we had to do blood sugars like 3 times a day for the cat. So I'm used to thunking cat ears.
We are breaking Jeff Jarvis's 4 basic editing rules for the crisis. Because we're pretending to be experts when we're not. We're just repeating information we've heard somewhere. But
this was an interesting case. So the New York Times had a story about a sloppy lab in Wuhan. Could this have had an effect? And
I saw
and
that.
I watch my virologist and epidemiologist and infectious diseases experts in my Twitter list. Some just all of a sudden, as one, they will rise and go nuts over reporting. And so they went nuts over this. And they were right, I think, because it was raising suspicion and hackles that wasn't legit. And they didn't talk to, it was a story about virology, and they didn't talk to a virologist.
That's rule 1. If a story, according to Jeff Jarvis, if a story involves virology, demand the reporter talk with, cite, and listen to a virologist. Ditto epidemiology. And that's rule 2. And rule 3, don't assign political reporters to science stories. Unfortunately, I mean, here we are talking about virology and what masks work and whether you should prick
I was like,
yourself.
I am not a virologist, y'all.
Yeah,
I don't think either of us.
Yeah, none of us are. So we'll stop now with the advice. Nobody
and
we've
rule
all
5.
heard it.
Rule 5: do not show Jeff his tweets in dark mode.
Oh, right.
It just looks so much better.
People.
I don't know. It hurts my eyes if it's white. If it's light mode.
So Slavitt says, just for further information, that there's a wild west of unapproved antibody tests. The FDA approved ones are hard to get. He wanted to see what the experience was and see what the positive rate was. And so the issue is going to be pretty soon is people are going to insist that they have a piece of paper say, I got the antibodies, I'm safe, I'm okay. And we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, it's going to create. I mean, I'm very curious if we end up creating incentives over the next few months for people who are, immune, if they are indeed immune, to go out into the world and have benefits, which would increase the incentives for people to go out and try to get sick so they can go out and continue
that would
working.
be bad. Although for somebody like my son, by the way, we still don't know. Only an antibody test will show. But
exactly.
If he's hoping he was sick because it was mild, he survived.
Oh, yeah, no,
and
if he's
now
gone
he would
through
be
it.
golden, right? Imagine, there's a guy just got out of college. What's he going to do?
DoorDash.
Yeah, he can work in an Amazon
Instacart.
fulfillment center. But I imagine if you've provably immune, which again, by the way, that's just because having the antibodies does not mean necessarily you're immune. I don't know what.
Yeah, they don't know how long.
Yeah.
They don't know if there's still a viral load. They don't. There's all kinds of things they do not know.
They don't know a lot. We don't know nothing. But he's thinking, I'm going to be golden. I can get all kinds of jobs. You probably end up Henry, bad news. You probably end up working in a hospital. Okay. Moving on. Let's talk about the Google and Apple initiative, because I think that's very interesting. But I'm going to preface that with some information from an actual security expert, our own Steve Gibson, who spent some time on the show yesterday talking about this. And Rule 6, if you're going to do a story on security, talk to Steve Gibson. Yeah, at least get a Steve Gibson's take on it. A very interesting idea. So just the reason why Apple and Google are doing this. Well, first of all, and I think Steve said this and I agree with him, it's nice to see, or maybe it was somebody on Twitter, but it was nice to see tech companies, more than giving money, writing a check, helping journalism, do something actually within their sphere of ability and skill.
Use their magic for good.
Yeah. So as everybody knows, Google and Apple have a considerable location information. Your iPhone and your Android phone both could be used as trackers, but there are huge privacy concerns doing that. So Google and Apple, also having lots of experience with protecting privacy and security, got together and created an API, an application programming interface that could be used by apps from health authorities to help in this post-shelter-in-place world where it's very important, once you've detected somebody has COVID-19, to trace their contacts so they can all be quarantined. Contact tracing, this is called. It's part of a containment strategy. So they proposed a method to preserve privacy but still have this work automatically. It's first of all, they propose it to be opt-in. Now, of course, once they've created this API, there's no way they can insist on it being opt-in.
That's not true, actually. They can control who has access to the API once they create it, especially because it's at the OS level that they're going to be doing this.
That's true.
So they could say to developers, if you are not a health, I don't know if they will, but they could actually say, yeah, you don't have access to this API. Sorry,
that's a good point. Yeah, so they're going to push out next month to all Android phones. Google's going to do that through the Google Play Store, and it will be automatic, and you won't have a choice about that.
It will be through Play Services?
Play Services, I mean. That's right.
Sorry, Leo.
No, good correction. No, good correction.
Yeah.
You have Play Services because you have the Play Store on there. The point being, it's not an app download. It's going to just be pushed out as part of services. It'll be a new service in effect.
And you talked briefly about location, but this doesn't actually use location. And that's what makes it privacy protecting. Right. It uses Bluetooth.
Right. And
it's basically using the Bluetooth network to ascribe tokens to people. They're not linking it to the location information.
Right. Although that is a point of contention, which we'll get to in a second. Apple will also be pushing it out mid-May, to their iPhones. And then presumably somebody can write an application. Both Apple and Google say eventually they will write an application. The way it works, each device, your device, will every morning in the beginning of the day create a token that is uniquely identifiable to your device. And then every 10 minutes, every 15, actually what it really technically is between every 10 and 20 minutes, it's roughly 15 minutes, it will generate an additional token using Bluetooth LE. When you come near another device running this API, which is presumably every smartphone, you will exchange these tokens. So that person will have your token, which has in it, built into it, effectively, the time of day that you guys were within 30 feet of each other. If you test positive, at that point, you push a button on the phone, or maybe more likely to prevent pranking, after you get the test, you'll get a QR code you'll scan on the phone or something of that nature.
Okay, thank you.
That's important because they don't want people just to say, yeah, I'm positive. So you'll have some verified way with a health provider to say, I'm positive. Then your phone will take all of the identifiers of the people you've run into over the last, I don't know what the period of time is, but something like
14 days.
14 days, that long?
I believe so, yes.
It needs to be.
So,
you could be symptomatic.
You could be asymptomatic.
Contagious.
Okay. So 14 days.
Asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic.
Yeah. So for whatever period of time you were contagious prior to your test, and those tokens will then be used to send a ping to all of those people's phones saying, you, without any names, no names, you ran into somebody who's COVID positive, you need to quarantine.
And you won't know when and you won't know where.
Right.
You'll just know that you passed. There's another angle of this too, and Stacey, that I remember reading, but I didn't understand. Your own token changes at some regular rate, right?
Yes, your token changes. Everybody's token changes every
10 to 20 minutes.
Day? Is it 10 to 20 minutes?
Well, you have two tokens. So you have your daily token, which is daily, 24 hours, and you have a 10 to 15 minute token. That token is important that changed because that's how you know you ran into somebody, because you got to have those tokens match so that you go, oh yeah, that's the person I was talking to at that time of day.
Right.
Yeah, 14 days. It says so right there. You got it. 14-day temporary store. So a number of people, including Moxie, Marlinspike, have raised issues, some of which have been, like the prank issue that we just talked about, have been shot down by Apple in subsequent white papers. There is some concern that this system could be used by ad tech, that it could be, surreptitiously, that there might have to be some personally identifiable information at some point exchanged.
One of the issues that this has is when you test positive and you say that, you have to put a lock on that token. So then you are now linking your magical token, basically, that no one knows is associated with you with all of these other tokens. So it's theoretical that you could go back and figure out who that person is.
So it's tied to, and this is, Moxie mentions this, so does Steve Gibson. Already, the MAC address of your device is rotated every 15 minutes on your phone, or I don't know what the time period is, roughly every hour or whatever. It's rotated on your phone to avoid precisely this tracking. If you had the same MAC address broadcast via Bluetooth LE, then stores would say, oh, here comes Leo. But he can't because it's not the same MAC address every time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I will say, I didn't know that either.
Apple pioneered that. Yeah, I think it's a really good technique.
I think actually the bigger danger is not hacking or even ad tech, but it's people twofold. One, people, for this to be useful, lots of people have to use it. Even in Singapore,
it's voluntary.
The people using the people using the contact tracing app is not super high. I think it was less than 20%, and that's Singapore. But also, right now, the way it's engineered, and they could fix this, because it is using RSSI, so signal strength, or because, it's just using a binary on-off as opposed to something like RSSI. What happens is you don't actually know, like, if I passed within 30 feet of someone, I'm probably not.
There's a lot of false positives. No, there's a lot of false positives.
Now, you could fix that because with signal strength, you can say, I spent 30 minutes in the same vicinity, like 30 feet away. And I could even say as simple as I was 5 feet away from someone who's COVID
Scooter X
positive.
says it is using RSSI, which is
but they're okay. So, but they're not putting that into any sort of score that helps you understand. Like, I mean, I guess yes, that's how you would track is using RSSI. But
Stacey,
it's not.
One of Steve's points was that you can presume Apple and Google have thought of all of the things that you and I are going to think of and have built that into the spec. But who knows?
But some of those things are hard, like calculating. So yes, calculating how long someone's been there plus how close they were, that takes a little bit of computing power. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's happening on your phone all the time. And that's why your cellular modem eats up power.
Well, let's not promote that because I don't want people to have any reason not to put it on their phone.
Well, that's the trade-off is the more accurate you make this, the more battery consumption it's probably going to consume.
Let's not promote that because I don't want to give people any reason not to do this.
And I had a little fit with Ali Velshi, who I consider a friend, because he did the usual tech and brings on the privacy police. And but I don't have Bluetooth on my phone because out of privacy. And I said, come on, man, priorities. But Stacey, to answer your to add to your question,
scan results. I'm reading the white paper. From Apple. Scan results shall be time-stamped and RSSI captured per advertisement. So they are going to use signal strength to, otherwise you get way too many false positives.
Scroll up.
Scanning interval in Windows shall have sufficient coverage to discover nearby contact detection advertisers, service advertisers within 5 minutes.
Okay.
It doesn't say anything about distance so far.
Yeah, and it doesn't say they're using that data to actually tell someone. They're not saying how they use that data. They're just saying they use it. So I don't.
Well, they might later on. This is one part
so
of it.
I added something to the chat that kind of addresses too, that part of the issue here is one of the big fights in the science world, which I only observed, I'm not a scientist, I don't know, is aerosolization. Is this germ aerosolized? That is to say, snot has gravity. It's heavy. It goes only so far and it goes down. Aerosolization is it's still light and it can travel farther, longer, and stay in the air. And you can, which means you don't necessarily have to have been near someone for a long time. They could have moved on. And interestingly, this paper I just put up in the chat that was linked to by Eric Topol, who's one of the people I trust, a physician and author, says that talking can be as bad as coughing, and volume of speech can make it worse. So people like me who are loud are more dangerous.
Well, also, and I've heard this also, that if you spend 10 minutes sitting across from somebody talking, that is much more of a problem than if you walk by them. And I don't know if what provenance is built into this system. I'm sure it is, but I don't know what it is that would determine length of time that you're contacted. Not just distance, but how long you spent with this person. All of that's
they're just trying to increase. it's the same as my wife going to the store. We've decreased our contact with other people hugely, but all it takes is one.
Right.
So just you have fewer ones. And in this case, certain number of people aren't going to use this, and it's going to be false in some cases.
So this is
if it reduces some cases, does it increase?
You want to get your R naught down. If you get the R naught down below 1, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be below 1 to eliminate the virus. As long as
that's the goal.
Each person is infecting 1 or fewer people, you don't have the geometric growth that we have right now that's problematic. So
in my stupid way to put it, it's like fuzzy logic. You're close enough, right? You may not be exact. You don't need to be exact.
In other words, if it's good, that's good. It doesn't have to be perfect. So Steve's basic point was, having read all the white papers and digested all the information, that he feels this is a very good system.
Yay.
And it's effective and it is sufficiently private. And that's what I would expect from both Google and Apple, is something like that. There is this issue of if it's voluntary. Now, it doesn't, I mean, honestly, it doesn't have to be voluntary. If the government decides to put out an app and say, you must download it and use it, and if, we see your phone doesn't have it, we're going to have the right to check it. There's nothing to say that can't happen. So just because Google and Apple say it's voluntary doesn't mean it will always be voluntary.
And let me understand something else.
But also, I want to say one more thing. I think people will do it. I think people will do it. Look at, it's not 100%, but look how much compliance you're getting right now in an extremely painful way.
Yeah, but you know what, Leo? Here you got a couple of things working, right? You got anti-tech and anti-big company, and privacy fetishism and moral panic.
No, I don't think so.
Having an influence. Well,
I think people will
you're going to have some number of people.
Sure.
For God's sakes, people who won't vaccinate their children against disease.
You have people going to parties, of course.
In church.
But I do think it will be harder to get people to adopt this than to adopt social distancing, because you find it. Yes, because social distancing.
It's easier to say no.
Well, there's an element of shame in social policing associated with this, whereas no one knows if you have an app on your phone.
We don't know. We'll see. It's going to happen. They're going to put this out. They're going to put out an app. I don't know if health officials will embrace this or not. But
are they putting out an app, or are they waiting for health?
That was my question. Yeah, where are the apps themselves coming from?
The apps are supposed to come from health, like public health agencies, or
initially,
possibly hospitals.
Initially, unless I misread, Apple says
why wouldn't
later
Apple
this
Google
year
just put out a universal app?
Well, because I don't actually want Google and Apple to have this.
Let me finish reading this. Okay. Later this year, iOS and Android. So starting in mid-May, the API be out. Apps can use it. Those apps coming from presumably health authorities, not Apple and Google. Later this year, don't know when that is, iOS and Android will receive updates that will let users opt into contact tracing without installing an app.
Okay.
So if there's going to be an app, that would have to come from health officials, but you won't need an app at some point later this year. We don't know when that is.
And the data from this that Google and Apple get, are they going to keep it? Are they going to donate it? Are they going to delete it? What's the policy there? Because that's another important question.
Their point is there's no personally identifiable information in the data. The system is set up so that your name,
I understand.
None of that is attached. So what if Google and Apple get it?
I don't, because if they have that data tied with my location.
But they don't know it's your location. They get a bunch. But they have the MAC address of the phone, right?
It's
not built into that. No, it's not built into that. No. They're, in theory, and Moxie Marlinspike was concerned about this, but Steve said, no, I don't think so. In theory, there is no PII associated in any way with either that daily number or the rolling number.
Stacey, they did vow that they would use this data for nothing else. Now, is there an audit of that? Is there, I'm sure Congress.
Well, I'm just thinking about Verily, which they launched their COVID testing tracker thing through Verily, and they did not have a privacy policy that precluded that data being used by Google for other things.
I
thought they did. They've added it though. I think they said to Congress that they were not going to use it.
Right.
And they argued, I think, properly that they had to use Google sign-in because they wanted to be sure of the identities that they were working with.
Yeah.
No, I think there's a good point there. Because there's also liability. At some point,
I think this is intentionally designed so that there is no information that they could use. What Moxie said, what his concern was that there could some kind of retro matching could be used, or this technology could be used illicitly by ad tech. But this isn't, I think, very consciously being designed because of that objection, not to have any PII in the actual numbers.
So what's fun about this then is, by gosh, we could do a lot more privacy-focused app designs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think Apple does do that. They have something they call differential privacy, which in theory, although there's some debate over this as well, ensures the privacy. So there is some question about how widespread this use would be. I'm going to go on record saying I think it'll be very widespread. I think you'll be surprised.
I hope it will be. But here's another question. Could you imagine, so I have the app. I want to brag about the app. I want to push the app. I want to say, look at me, folks. I got the app. I'm a good guy, right? What do I do? Start walking around with my phone like this with the app up? Do I get a little Bluetooth badge that only works with it if it says, yes, he has the app? I mean, what can we imagine that would say, yep, Jarvis is a good guy. He's got the app.
Yeah. I think there'll be some peer pressure.
Could you write an app that points out?
You can put a Twitter. You can change your Twitter avatar to "I got the app."
I think there'll be things.
Could you do an app? Could you do an app that beeps at you if you're around people who have phones and Bluetooth on but don't have the app? No. That's
going to drive people nuts.
I know. I'm just being an app.
No, I'm like, oh, I guess you could.
I honestly, maybe this is stupid of me. And certainly, I'm glad that we would talk about the pros and cons. I don't want to push too many hypothetical privacy concerns around this because I think it's important that people do this.
I'm not worried about hypothetical privacy. I was mostly worried about hypothetical false positives and a false sense of security. And I mean,
that's up to the health officials to worry about. That's not.
Stacey, let's be clear here. This is merely an aid. We have to have human contact tracers, thousands of them. It is test, trace, isolate, test, trace, isolate. This is not tracing. This merely adds in another layer.
It's not.
It is not contact tracing. Contact tracing,
in theory, if everybody had a smartphone, it would be.
Even then, contact tracing properly done is going to be, I get it, and I tell the tracer where all I was the last 14 days and who I had contact with by name so they can be called.
I think that's going to be less accurate than the automated system in your phone.
It all adds up. It's all about reducing the load, trying to get as more of the people who've been exposed isolated to reduce the R0, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm no epidemiologist, but I'm reading a lot about this stuff. And that's what people are saying. It's not going to be a perfect system, but without human contact tracers who are trained to do this, this won't work.
Well,
this is not sufficient.
I wouldn't be willing to say that either.
No world is sufficient.
I wouldn't be willing to say that either.
Well, even though Apple and Google say this, they say this is not, the main lead at Apple says this is not sufficient. This is an aid.
Okay.
And listen to me. I'm the Mr. Tech optimist. Tech will not solve this. This requires human investment and human effort.
Well, I absolutely hope they do that, but
they have to. No, they're starting, right? Yeah. The smart governors. Massachusetts has started hiring contract tracers. New York is going to start hiring, and the East Coast cabal. And until you have sufficient testing at scale and contact tracing with reliability, and you isolate people who were exposed, there's no reopening. It's BS. Because the only thing that's different between now and a week ago is that my odds of being refused a ventilator went down. That's it. Everything else about what was going on is still there. Yeah. I can still get sick just as easily as I could last week, and I can still die just as easily as I did last week. And people have to take this very serious.
Right.
Says an old guy who's vulnerable.
And contact tracing is being pursued in some countries now with some success.
Yes, that's where it works. Yeah.
Right.
South Korea and Taiwan.
So Leo, I agree. I don't want to hear BS privacy discussion. I don't want to hear battery discussion. I want to hear that this is a generous social act that you do as a responsible member of society.
Well, and I don't know about you guys. I won't speak for you guys, but
I understand.
I will run it the minute I can.
I will too. Eagerly and gladly, and I'll brag about it. And as Governor Cuomo, as President Cuomo, as I like to call him now, said,
I don't know.
Said today.
Do you really want President Cuomo?
So as a New Yorker, as a New York City person, I'm trained to dislike him, but now we fell over. So as he said today in his briefing today, he required the mask. He said, "Listen, you come to a street corner and it's social pressure. You see somebody without a mask, you say, "Yo,
where's your mask?
What about the mask, buddy?"
Yeah, Paul Thurrott was talking.
A good New Yorker would.
Talking earlier on Windows Weekly, he had ordered a meal at a restaurant, went to the restaurant to pick it up, as one does to be safe, and nobody was wearing a mask. And he said, I saw red. I started yelling at him. They thought I was mad because the order was late or something. He said, "No, you're not wearing masks. I can't eat food if you're not going to wear masks."
You haven't done any takeout at all. None. You have. Lisa got you a nice meal. Stacey, have you done takeout?
We do takeout once a week.
Once a week. Yeah, that's right. You said that. Yeah.
I had a burrito. That's our delicious.
Yay.
You know what I want? You know what I want more than anything else?
What?
A bagel.
No, Taco Bell.
Oh, yeah. You said that on the AMA, and Lisa said, by the way, she agrees. Tell Jeff.
Wow.
Comfort food.
Tell Jeff I am him. His answers in the AMA matched mine. I want to go to the alcohol Taco Bell. Because you wanted, right. you said Taco Bell would be fine if they had drinks.
Across the street from my school, they have a Taco Bell cantina, which has alcoholic beverages, which is the saddest thing I can imagine. Hey, let's go to Taco Bell and get tanked. I don't see
here's the deal about that. Taco Cabana, which is in Texas. I don't know. It's got to be other places too. They sold alcohol. They were like Taco Bell that sold alcohol with better tortillas too. And they had their thing across from the University of Texas. That's where you would go when you were 18 and you didn't want to be carded. So a lot of these places, I think you can kind of ease in and be like, hey. So you would go out and drink margaritas there, and it was, not optimal.
By the way, she says there's a whole text message chain going on behind the scenes now. Lisa says she's taking you there the next time we're in New York City.
Amen. I can't wait.
In about 3 years, 4 years? I don't
think
know.
So.
Yeah, sometime in the late 2020s.
I'm stuck inside for at least a year. That's my view.
Well, Jeff and I are vulnerable populations, so we have to be extra careful.
Yep.
Yeah.
All those times you made fun of us for being old, Stacey, you're going to be sorry.
I'm sorry.
They don't call it boomer remover for nothing. I'll never forgive or forget your daughter for that. No, I'll forgive her. I won't forget.
Her. She doesn't say it. It was her classmates
I think
who
it's
said
hysterical.
it. Yes.
I love it.
I do too. She's reporting the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I were those kids, I'd be real pissed right now. I mean, they've got a lot to be angry about. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
More Google, good Google news. Google Classroom taking Italy's school system online after, quote, several sleepless days. Javier Soltero, the VP in charge of G Suite, said he got an email in March from his team in Europe with an inquiry from Italy's Minister of Education asking if Google's platform could take the entire country's school system online immediately. Several sleepless days and nights later.
That's a gulp and a spit take.
Yeah, the whole country. The service was up and running for millions of children in Italy. Classroom is, of course, really widely used, I think.
Oh, yeah. My daughter's been in 2 different schools, and they both use Classroom.
Classroom and Zoom. So that's good. Google leaping into the fray there. Let's see. Google did ban
we have
Zoom,
a rundown. I forgot.
Yeah. Oh, well, we can talk about anything you want. The rundown.
Can we talk about the chips? Oh, sorry. I got excited. The dog got excited. We're all excited.
Yeah, let's talk about the chips.
Hold on.
The dog is going. It's being banished.
No, the dog says, never mind.
Oh, chips? You said there were chips? What chips? I'm in I could have, are they Fritos? What kind of chips? Taco chips?
I was excited. She gets excited.
She did. It was so cute. She's very attuned to you.
That is true. Okay. Can we talk about chips? Or
Yes, I'm eager to hear the Stacey take on chips.
Anything you have a hankering to talk about.
Well, it's even Google related, you guys.
Whoa.
So these stories are out saying that Google is going to build its own processors for Chromebooks and phones.
Yeah, I thought that was very
interesting. Right now
they're...
Oh, sorry. What was that, Leo?
I thought that was very interesting. Are they disenchanted with Qualcomm?
Qualcomm?
Yeah.
Who isn't disenchanted with Qualcomm? But it's also, having a highly integrated hardware, software, and platform is good. I mean, Apple's differentiated the iPhone quite a bit because of its own stuff. So this will be optimized. They're calling the chip is codenamed Whitechapel. Looks like it might be based on, it's an ARM-based processor. Axios is, over at Axios, she's delicious. No, she is accurate. I don't know where the delicious came from. Says that it's going to be using Samsung's 5-nanometer process, which means very future forward.
5.
I know.
5.
I'm like,
although I had read, and I'm not an expert in this, that Samsung using 5 is a little bit of a misnomer.
Yeah, there's some fudging there, and I can't remember if Samsung is using EUV or how they're getting that far down on their process node, but.
Because Intel, the point. Isn't Intel still stuck at 10 nanometers?
Yeah, they're at like 10, 11.
Yeah.
But in the 15 years of Twit here, I'm just going to interject here. I remember when geeky discussions were like, what inputs there were on the back of a monitor, and now you guys are doing chip nanometers. I am so impressed. I bow before you. Keep going.
Well,
it's thanks to Stacey.
That was Moore's law. I mean, this is how we kept working. I mean,
in fact, for a long time, as I remember, 5 nanometers was considered the limit of Moore's law, that it couldn't go any smaller than that because of quantum mechanics. 7
was really kind of where I thought we were.
Yeah.
So this was surprising to me. But Kevin, I'll tell you, over on About Chromebooks, talked about this, and he said he had heard about it about a week ago, but he was waiting for a second confirmation. So he was kind of like, ah.
You're so good, Kevin.
I know. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. But he doesn't think they're going to be used for a Chromebook because he doesn't see Google really focusing on using ARM-based processors for Chromebooks. So this may be just for the phone. And it's going to have a Google Visual Core and neural processing unit, which is kind of exciting because that means we should see a lot more AI capabilities on the device itself. And and it's called Whitechapel. That was the other thing.
And Stacey, do I presume that Google, you trust Google with chips because they make hot doggity silver stuff and all that they'd be good at this?
So Google's had chip ambition.
How I dumbed that down to my level.
You just hire people, Jeff. That's all.
They hire people from chip firms, and they've done their TensorFlow TPUs.
Right. The hot diggity dog.
And they don't make them. They just spec them.
Well, okay, it's a little bit more than just speccing. What they're doing is they're taking an existing processor design. So Intel's is x86 based architecture. ARM has variations of their ARM architecture, and they'll take a license to that core. When you take a license to a certain core, that means you can actually rejigger it as opposed to just produce the exact license. So it's called an architecture license. Google took that architecture license like a decade ago. So they have been working on building chips and playing around with it.
I didn't know they had an architecture license that long. That's interesting. So
everybody took an architecture license a while back because they wanted to do it for their own servers.
Right.
So Microsoft has one. Amazon has them.
So that's instead of letting ARM design the chip, you have the right to design the chip around ARM ideas.
Right.
It's almost like a patent license, really.
Honestly, it would be irresponsible if they haven't been working on this because, when you have, and what's a little weird about this, though, is Google is not successful at the level that Apple is successful at selling devices. For Apple, it makes sense to invest a lot in developing a custom chip and architecture, right? Or a custom chip for themselves because they sell so many iPhones. Google's using this on like a Pixel. They don't sell that many. So that's the only part of this that I'm like, does this really make sense? Now it says that Google's actually using Samsung's Exynos chips that Samsung developed. So maybe if it's going to go in every single type of Android phone, then that makes a little bit more sense because then the economies of scale make sense. I'm saying makes sense a lot. So that's kind of a little, when I saw this, I was like, about damn time. And then I was like, wait a second. And I was like, okay.
About damn time. Yeah, I think I mean, from a purely non-technical but purely marketing point of view, it's very interesting because, as you point out, Apple's done very well having custom chips and custom silicon. And I think, especially lately, Qualcomm has just as Intel has disappointed PC manufacturers by being slow to market with improved chips, Qualcomm has really kind of stalled some of their production. And I think a lot of phone companies are a little disappointed. And now the new Qualcomm chip is being used in some phones. What is it, the 855? Is that it? The new Snapdragon? I can't remember the designation. But I do remember, and again, it's just dim memory, that there were issues. People were just unhappy a little bit with
I think part of it is Qualcomm, you know, when you buy the Qualcomm application processor, you're also getting a Qualcomm modem, whether or not you want one.
Right. Get it all, baby. Yeah.
I think there's...
Qualcomm has announced 5-nanometer chips, so, you know, they're going to do it too.
Oh, yeah. The reason I mentioned that they were using 5-nanometer is because, it shows that these are incredibly advanced chips. I mean, this is not yesterday's chip that Google's making. They're really trying to work at the cutting edge.
Right.
So what does this allow Google to do in terms of the functionality of the phone? Anything? Or
well, I can tell you from Apple's point of view, one of the reasons they like making their own silicon is because they don't have to build in things that they don't want. Not merely the Qualcomm radios, but you don't have to. Early on, they had an advantage because they didn't have to support Flash. And so,
and you can optimize for things like if you say you want to really optimize, like when Apple launched their, what was it? You could optimize for things like video taking if you want, and you can add, you can oomph up your graphics processor for handling that. And so those are all like.
It's the difference, Jeff, between, I'll put it in terms you'll understand, buying a cocktail at the 7-Eleven or mixing your own.
Oh, I was going to say it's the difference between
Taco Bell's different.
Using like basic WordPress or, doing a custom CMS for your publication.
There you go.
Although custom CMSs are such a pain in the butt, it may be terrible. But designing a chip isn't easy.
Right. Oh, no.
And then
Apple has more, according to rumors, Apple has more than 1,000 chip designers, people working in their chip.
A lot of them are in Austin.
They bought PA Risk, which is the big chip design firm for RISC chips. It's about a decade ago. I mean, Apple there's a massive investment into, and of course, again, they don't make their chips. TSMC and other companies make them, but in fact, even Samsung, I think, makes chips for Apple. But they design them, and that by doing so, I think they have a lot better control over their platform. And everybody agrees that the iPad and the iPhone processors are light years ahead of what Qualcomm's offering. It's a much more generic product.
And they also can do with that, once you have that team in place, they can also work on other projects. So you see Apple doing their coprocessor for movement, which gets you, longer battery life and a small form factor on the Apple Watch. You can see them doing like processors for computer vision maybe in the future or voice recognition. So once you have the skill set in place, you can really do a lot, and you lock out your competitors because they're stuck buying off the shelf parts, and they're not going to, there's no way you could be as power efficient, for example, or pick some sort of optimization. They can't optimize as well. Yeah. So this does make it really interesting, though, one, holy cow, that's terrible for Qualcomm. But two, when you have all of these people who are huge companies building their own chips, if you're a chip maker, you suddenly have to serve a very different and much more varied part of the market. So how does that change your business? And that'll be an interesting, we've been talking about that for a while in the chip world, but it'll be interesting going forward.
If you're a fan of Google, this is very good news. It also, I should point out, is interesting because Google didn't create Android to make Google phones, didn't create Chrome OS to make Google Chromebooks. These was a way for Samsung to broaden its reach. I mean, Google to broaden its reach to get more people using Google services. That's where they saw their revenue. But if they start designing chips, it's in a way saying, yeah, we're a hardware company too. And the Pixel phone and the Google Pixel books, these are an important product to us. And they will be, unless Google gives away these designs, I doubt they will, but they will be, that'll be a differentiator. That'll, right now, if I'm looking at the brand new OnePlus 8, comparing it to a Pixel 4, it's very, the hardware is similar, the software is similar. Google doesn't have a huge differentiator. If all of a sudden, like Apple, Google's Pixel has a different processor that nobody else can use, that's a very interesting
Is this kind
decision.
of all right, so just, I'm switching roles today. Before I'm a tech optimist who says don't count on tech alone. So now I'm the Google fan who will try to look for the conspiracy theory. Is this rather like Amazon? Once you're trapped, now we can raise the rates on you and
I don't think Google
eBay
planned
and
this.
such?
No.
Okay,
No,
so it's not like
this
Google
is a
saying,
product
okay, now that you
optimization.
only have two places to go, Android or Apple, and you can't go to Apple, we're getting in the business, guys. They're not going to screw the manufacturers in Android land.
They're going to screw Qualcomm, but
Yeah,
It's
not
interesting.
the phone
Microsoft
manufacturers.
went through the same process. Remember, Microsoft sold Windows to PC makers, but never made PCs.
Right.
And
right.
all
That's
of a sudden, Microsoft a few years ago said, we should make PCs. And there was some concern that they would irritate what they call the OEMs, the people who used Windows to make their own PCs, like Dell and Lenovo and HP. But so Microsoft kind of, just as Google did with its Pixel books, picked a certain lane of hardware and stuck to it, saying things like, well, we're doing, as Google did, it's a reference design. It's we're doing something to lead the way for other PC manufacturers. There's plenty of room in the space for differentiation. It's not quite the same in the Android world, I think. If you have a Google phone that has a different processor, there's going to be a lot of temptation to optimize Android for that processor, for instance. If I were manufacturing Android phones, I'd be a little nervous, but I think Google made the calculation, well, where are they going to go? What else?
Well, and if they're working with Samsung and Exynos chips, then they've really, isn't Samsung the second largest producer of Android, or the first largest producer of Android phones?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wonder if Google looks at that and says, we'd like to be the largest producer of Android phones. They also have to be a little dissatisfied with the low end of the Android market, which is causing them no end of headaches. Because whenever you hear about security issues, out-of-date operating systems, that's where all of that's happening. And I'm sure that bothers Google, that there is such a down market. On the other hand, that's why Android is the #1 operating system in the world by sheer number.
Well, that was the whole strategy. I remember at Davos when Eric Schmidt talked about it. He said, we're going to give it away for free, and that's going to make it grow, and that's our strategy, and that's that.
Because we make money when you use the internet, and it's good for us, right? That's why I wonder why they're making chips now. It sounds like a sea change in Google's overall strategy. That they want to have a differentiator. Is Samsung going to have these Google chips?
I don't know. This is all
that's
rumored.
interesting. Oh,
But
Samsung does make their own
will
Exynos, but Exynos processors are functionally equivalent. In fact, if you buy a Samsung phone in the U.S., you get a Qualcomm processor because they need the radios. But if you buy it in the rest of the world, they use an Exynos processor. But those phones aren't that different. They're using virtually the same software, right? Same features.
And it could be a server-based chip. I don't know.
we don't know that it's for Android? Oh, I thought we knew it was for Android and Chrome OS.
I think people are basing that because it's an ARM.
Ah, okay. Well, then I may be completely wrong, because maybe Google will not do that. They want ARM chips for servers too, because they're low power. The biggest cost is energy.
I'm trying to see if the rumor ties it to the phones or if it's just the chip.
It's an interesting. It's a business conundrum. And,
Google reportedly expects that Whitechapel will start shipping with Pixel phones in the next year at the earliest.
There you go.
So, yes.
That's really interesting because Pixels have not sold well. And if I were Google, if Google holds true to its Davos statement, Jeff, and then it doesn't matter if Pixel phones sell.
Right. No.
But if Google wants to have a hardware business, why would Google? What is the change?
This is interesting. So they're putting a module dedicated to improving the power efficiency and performance of Google Assistant. So take that, their design. Now imagine them putting a reference design onto other battery-powered devices to bring Google Assistant to more places.
Apple always said
and with all that AI locally. Right. That's what where it starts to make sense. They can really show off what their AI can do distributed.
Apple always said if you want to make a good product, you have to control the hardware and the software stack. Well,
Apple would say that because that's what they did.
Well, but that was Steve Jobs' plan all along, was we want to control. That's why they made computers and why they made Mac OS, or before that, whatever they called it, System 7. Because Jobs was always of the strong belief you had to do both. In the early days of the Apple II, I guess it was the case even back then. They made both. He always felt that you had to tightly integrate hardware and software. And
you want to talk about the new iPhone and chips?
Sure. The iPhone SE snuck out of the barn this morning.
Yep.
Got me up at 8 a.m. ordering stuff from the Apple Store. They also announced and will be shipping next week their new Magic Keyboard for the iPad, which frankly is, to me, the most interesting thing they've announced in a while because it really starts to make the iPad a computer. It's got a trackpad. Yes. It's got a real keyboard. Same keyboard as on their laptops. And it's expensive. It's $300.
Which is $100 less than the cost of the SE, which I am just like, I am in love with this phone. I am excited about it. It's running the same.
It's 4.7 inches,
processor.
so it's a small phone. It's a current processor, right?
It is the processor, the iPad Pro 11?
Right.
Or sorry, not the iPad Pro. Sorry.
iPhone.
No, that is the iPad.
No, the iPad Pro has a later processor, I think. It's the A12, right, in this one?
We were so excited about this morning. Oh my God. I hate Apple's design crazy. Just show me the freaking specs.
Good luck finding it. Yeah, we were a little disappointed because of course we do our Apple shows on Tuesday and normally Apple announces new products on Tuesday, but this time they announced it on Wednesday, which is actually what the rumor mill sounds. It's beautiful. Comes black, white, and product red. It looks a lot like an iPhone 8, except it has an aluminum edge now, which I think is quite nice. It'll start at $400. It does have a current processor, which is what the SE did last time too, which is good because you want a phone that has a current processor so you can run the current operating system, even if it is only 4.7
It's the A13 Bionic chip.
Oh, it is. That's the same. Okay. That's the same chip as in the iPad.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah. No, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That's why I was so
That means
pumped.
it'll have a great camera. Only one lens, but still it'll have a great camera. Portrait mode using monocular depth sensing, which is magic.
Monocular depth.
You only have one eye?
My wife is so pissed about this.
Why?
She just spent a lot of money.
The small one. She's still still carrying around the 1988 iPhone, whatever the small one was.
1988.
And she will
this
not
one's
shift.
Small. A 4.7. So is it the iPhone 6?
How big was a 5? Do we know?
iPhone.
I feel like that. I was surprised to see 4.7 because I thought it's the small is the size
4
of
inch.
Small.
The 5S was 4 inches.
So it's a little bigger.
4.7?
Yeah, it's not so much
4.7.
bigger. Still the smallest iPhone by far.
Yeah.
The new iPad Pro has an A12Z Bionic. The A13 is in the iPhone 11.
iPhone 11 and the iPhone 11 Pro.
Right. Thank you, chat room. And by the way, the Product Red phone, as you know, Product Red is the Bono sponsored AIDS relief project, but in this case, it will be donated to COVID-19.
Very good.
So
speaking to my wife, by the way, she just sent me her new favorite follow on Twitter.
Yeah.
Rate my Skype room. Have you seen this one? It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Is this for people to, the backdrop?
This is for they're the people who are now on TV. So it's Twitter / rate my.
Oh, this is so funny.
Skype room.
So they're looking at the art. I know I do this
at the background.
When I look at people, they're looking at, in fact, we've even talked about messy bookshelves and other things. Fun, chic, we want the lamp, style plus. That's Kimberly Eakins on CNN. Oh, no, that's NBC. This is fun.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Bit of a mess, but adding 2 points for color coordinating bow tie and globe.
Dr. Hotez. You don't want to read the one for Lindsey Graham, but it's funny.
Yeah, but yeah. Good neutral color, attractive bookcase. Our guess is he's Italian. That's Mike Mamoli, NBC News. Sean Penn, actor and founder of Core. Tent gets high marks. He's in a tent. He's in a yurt.
Yeah, he was in a tent today. Yeah.
Okay.
Next one's good too.
Here's Bernie. 2 nice paintings. This may be Bernie's Airbnb. Not sure. There's a picture of a Vermont barn. I don't like it, and I like a little depth. It's always good. That's why I love your set, Jeff, because it's got your whole room behind you. I don't like corners behind people. I don't like people.
I don't either.
Oh, why?
I think it's
that
odd.
Bothers me. Yeah.
But it makes sense if you have a lot of stuff because your corner is going to be the only place that you don't have stuff.
The corner is clean. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading more of these.
Yeah, I like
lit.
this one. Well,
here's Richard Engel. Well lit, good color mix. And apparently they noticed he has a Steve Reeves movie poster behind him, Goliath. Who doesn't like an old Steve Reeves movie? Wow, Richard Engel showing some verve there. Okay, Professor. Ugly chair, blank walls, and diplomas, please.
3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. This is pretty funny. I have to say, I'm enjoying it. Claire McCaskill.
This is the fun. Claire McCaskill in her kitchen. Uses the hell out of me.
Becky Worley has been doing Skype calls for Good Morning America. My good friend Becky Worley for many years. She was, I think, the first.
It was great.
And she's in her kitchen. Always looks great. I love it. Yeah, Becky.
Yeah, but it's Becky. It's
okay. I think they like Tony Fauci's beautiful. See, Tony's taking a chance. He's got backlighting, right? He's got a big window. But obviously, somebody came over from NBC or maybe from the CDC or somewhere, maybe Jared Kushner, and they put lights in front of him so he's got fill lights, so it's balancing him. So he's breaking the rules, but only because he has a better setup than you do.
A lot of people, aren't ring lights also sold out?
Yeah, probably they are.
I think maybe putting...
Oh, my goodness. President Obama, one of the best Skype rooms ever. Look at you couldn't get better than this. The depth of field.
No, you can't. Oh,
the lighting, the set, the dimly viewed basketball and the bookshelf, all excellent.
And the depth of field is real as opposed to the fake.
Oh, don't use the fake Skype depth
background pretty filter, which I just hate.
I beg of you. Yeah, don't use
This is
that.
funny, too.
Nice space, but we frown on product placement in Skype rooms. She's got a big Apple iMac over her left shoulder. That's hysterical.
Or does she have her books on the shelf? That's
her own books too, huh? Maybe.
I wonder, Ashley Parker.
I always make sure I've got my own books on the shelf behind me. What do you? Nice kitchen, oranges help, but it's a little stark.
John Heileman.
I like that kitchen.
I think it's quite nice, actually.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah,
it is nice.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Lisa, of course, has been doing a lot of Zoom meetings from home, and for a while she was positioned so that the cat tower was just over her shoulder. We've repositioned her now, so she's got a fireplace, some more attractive stuff behind her. You do have to think about that, don't you?
Yeah, I can't wait to move and have my own office so I can have a nicer setup.
Are you gonna see? I've decided I'm gonna put a green screen behind me and project this set, so you won't know if I'm home.
I have a green screen. I just don't like using it.
I don't want to see you at home, Leo.
Well, have I done anything
see the real Leo.
I've done the AMAs from home. But in fact, we're going to do game night on Friday. You're all invited if you want.
Oh.
We're going to.
I don't know games.
We're going to play. You don't know Jack. We're going to play trivia. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Stacey, have you found a home? Speaking of homes, I'm sorry. I'm asking. Let's ignore that I asked. Okay, I'm sorry.
It hurts
I'm sorry.
me.
Oh no,
that was painful.
We know that Stacey has to move out at the end of the month, so the clock is ticking.
The end of June. Hold on, the end
you got
of
a little
not this
more time.
month.
6 weeks. Okay.
But that's
still.
It's still soon to buy
Still.
and close on a house.
Still.
Especially when we don't
sorry,
have one.
Stacey.
Have you been able to virtually look?
There's just nothing on the market.
She said there's 2 houses available. 2.
There's like 12 houses in our
okay.
price range
Okay.
on Bainbridge.
Oh, that's not too bad. All right.
Well, 12 is not a lot of houses. And some of them are not great at houses. I mean, a lot of them are like really tiny for people who have 2 people working from home and a teenager.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's a lot
Let's
of,
move
I've
on.
noticed as I have joined my family walking about this cute little town of ours, Petaluma. A, what a great town it is.
It is.
But B, there are a lot of houses for sale.
Really?
This seems like it would be a bad time to try to sell a house.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have to sell it, you should totally wait. But if you do have a great house on Bainbridge and you want to sell it, let me know.
That's a good idea. Use the force, aka
My husband's been on Facebook. I mean, he's definitely reached out to lots of people. So anyway, it's okay.
Apple.
I'll do
We did the iPhone. We did the keyboard. I think that were the 2 products announced. Today.
Well, we had Hello, the Pixel 4a.
Oh, did they announce that today?
No, they didn't announce it. They haven't announced it yet, but they've all but announced it.
You got my hopes up. Any minute now.
We would have gotten it at I.O. You know damn well we would have had a 4A at I.O.
Yeah. Oh, well. Let's take a break. Then when we come back, the Google changelog for everybody. For one and all.
You gave Jeff far too much warning. It's not as much fun.
Jeff already told me he is prepared. Before the show, he said, I'm ready for the changelog, Leo. So, he's...
Karsten's sending me his 2 cents. Thank you, Karsten.
Karsten always sends his 2 cents. That's one thing you can count on with Karsten.
I would, hey, let me just put in a plug here. I would like to have Karsten Cam in some form. Now, on the Howard Stern show, they have...
Baba Booey at home?
They had Baba Booey puppet. They had the Gary puppet.
All right, I'm willing to give you a Karsten puppet.
Karsten puppet with a voice.
I could have a Google display right here. And we could put Karsten, we could do a duo call with Karsten. And then he could be right here giving his insight.
Leo's resisting, yeah. I think Karsten puppet with a bow tie.
We put it right here because then he could talk into the microphone. That makes way more sense.
What did Karsten offer you?
He didn't come after me.
What did he offer you?
What did he did not come after me.
He offered me nothing. I love Karsten Cam. Like after last week's show, he sent us all his Karsten's 2 cents on the show.
The things I would have said.
He didn't send that to me.
Well, maybe he knows that you don't want him on the show.
He knows I'd yell at him. All right. Well, we can dial him up.
I think what I'm envisioning a little tiny 9-inch TV screen there on the desk. We don't have to do
that. We could put a little virtual Karsten floating around. He could be like a little screensaver bobbing around the screen if you want.
But we need his voice, his wry, nasty, spammy,
Skype him in,
trollish voice coming in once in a while. I say that with love.
All right. Well, wait a minute. I can
spammy.
Okay. I don't know. I was making it up.
I am going to make this possible. Hold on a second. I'm going to set up a special place for Karsten. Karsten, I think you know what I'm talking about. Oh, wait a minute. My server's down. Never mind. Oh, shoot. Somebody must have knocked the plug out. I set up a Jitsi server at home. It's awesome. And you just go in, and I could easily set it up. But unfortunately, it seems to be offline. So
yeah, I heard it also is like 1 frame a second.
No, it's pretty good. I like Jitsi. That's just dependent on how much bandwidth your server. But see, it's running on my own server, so it works pretty well. I've been using it with the family mostly.
You were going to do a commercial.
I was.
Yeah.
And Jeff, if you want to pull up Karsten, you can. Our show today, you can tell my enthusiasm is overwhelming. We could just get a Karsten bobblehead.
Wait, while we're on it, I'm going to go to the chat. You got to see this. So this is the Gary puppet. This is going to make you happy.
Okay.
Okay. So there.
Gary puppet. Gary is another one of Stern's producers.
Gary Delabate.
He's the actual producer of the show.
Yes, executive producer.
That's a good puppet.
It's a good puppet.
That really looks like him. We have puppets. I have a Leo puppet.
So I think the Karsten puppet with the bow tie. You got to have the bow tie. Oh, we pissed off the boss. This was not Karsten's fault, really.
Oh, yeah. Really. Karsten did not put us up to any of this.
He did not put this up to
this. Oh, please.
He did not, I swear.
You think I don't know?
Hey, I would throw Karsten under the bus in a second.
All right, wait a minute.
I would not,
you know
but...
Because he throws,
I would never try to get him in trouble.
He throws me under the bus all the time. So I would, in retribution, throw him under the bus. Uh-oh, where are we going?
No, don't risk your life, Leo.
We've pissed him off so much, he's left the show. Karsten, you've done it now. You've done it now. You pissed off Leo. He's coming to get you. Where did Leo go? Do I have to sing and dance now? Did you notice, by the way, that I have my own lower third? I'm wearing my lower third.
Oh, nice.
Newmark,
nice, huh? Okay, yeah.
Newmark J School? Huh?
Oh, UT should get something for their J School that looks just as cool. The Cronkite J School.
But they're not as cool as we are, so they can't. We are.
Oh my gosh, we are so cooler. So much.
I have many friends
cooler.
there. I have many friends there.
Let me plug in my headphones.
Yeah. Do you have Professor Rosenthal Alves? You do not.
No, Rosenthal Alves is one of the coolest dudes alive.
Did somebody say he wanted a Karsten Cam?
Karsten.
Hi, Stacey. How are you? I miss you. And you too, Jeff. My hair's gone white in this COVID quarantine.
Is that the you puppet with a bow tie?
No, this is I don't know who this is. It's somebody.
Did you have to find a bow tie quickly? Or
no,
already had one?
This is another puppet. We have many puppets.
Okay, so now Karsten has to say something on chat that you.
I will channel Karsten. Exactly.
You have to channel Karsten. Where's Karsten?
If I like this.
Karsten's like, I can't handle this.
Oh, man.
Oh, Karsten's trying to call.
I know. Don't answer. Okay. You know what you could do? Just put his audio up.
Yeah, just his audio. That's the idea.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Oh, what have we done?
Oh, my God.
This reminds me of the time we got Jason to call somebody. We called somebody on when you were gone, Leo. We did two things. We got Jason to ruin his phone.
Really?
Yeah, and then we tried.
How did you
was
do
it
that?
Duo that we tried, or
It was Duo.
it was the Echo?
Oh, my God.
It was
that's
the
right. It
Echo
was his
Hangouts.
Google account that ended up getting screwed up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Jason.
Poor Jason. This Karsten, doesn't have any. I have to just put his hands here because there's no. You're supposed to be a stick to control the hands. So I'm just gonna let it do that.
Ow, says Karsten.
Ow! What are you doing? All right, let's do
answer
an ad.
line 3, says Karsten. Answer line 3.
Oh, he's getting angry. He's typing in caps now.
Yeah, and exclamation points.
Jeff knows who signs his check. That's the thing. Apparently, Karsten has forgotten. I need both hands.
Yeah, we need some Jeff commentary now too. Because Jeff's probably over there cursing under his breath about he was just ready for the change log and now he messed up his life.
Now the change log. We're going to do the ad and then the change log and then we're going to get Karsten, who apparently close your mouth.
Okay.
This show is brought to you today by
Worldwide Technology.
They probably don't want the ad delivered by puppets, so I'll just do it by myself. And App Dynamics, together they enable you to deliver the application experience your customers demand. We've talked so much about the Advanced Technology Center, the great enterprise delivery that Worldwide Technology does, but we don't talk much about the fact that they also do apps. They can help you do a great app that will transform your business. Just, great software has the ability to change lives, and WWT is driven as a custom application design and development company. One of many hats WWT wears. But what I love about WWT is because of their enterprise background, they know business, they know your business, they know how these things work, so they're going to be able to help you identify your specific business needs. They're going to come up with great new approaches to various problems, create a software solution that'll make an impact. Maybe you're a restaurant and you need to have online ordering. There are lots of reasons you might want to have an app these days. And you want to, trust me, we've gone to third parties to get apps done with less than stellar results. You want a company that focuses on the exact specifications you want in your app, and WWT does that. Their team provides resources and platforms to make it possible. They're the kings of agile development. They really know how to do it right. And they have 2 decades of experience, a proven track record to truly help you succeed. So I'll give you a couple of cases. I won't name names, although we saw the apps when we were there in St. Louis, and I was really blown away. They worked with a local healthcare organization to help connect medical teams from their care center to patients at home. So it was a custom software app where care teams could interface with patients, and they got great results. Within a year, 50% reduction in preventable readmissions for, they call it engagement at home patients, 35% fewer days spent in the hospital, thanks to virtual care, 60% fewer septic shock deaths occurred in patients being treated remotely. This is huge. I'll give you another example. They worked with a rental car company to produce a mobile app that provided an improved customer car rental experience, lets customers make reservations, perform check-ins and returns without waiting in line and without tying up expensive customer service reps. They worked with a grocery retailer to improve their customer experience. I saw this app. This is so cool. Through ideation, innovation, and creative work, WWT improved their customer experience, and the grocery retailer hit their 2- and 3-year goals in less than 1 year. An app can make a difference if it's done right, and that's what WWT is so good at. Put something in your customers' hands that exceeds their expectation. They're an agile house. They do agile software development from planning and ideation to delivery. They're faster because of it. They're more accurate because of it. They're more responsive to your needs because of it. If you DevOps, they're going to drive business outcomes by evaluating, designing, implementing, and operating with tools to enhance your operational efficiency. Yeah, they do DevOps. Container platforms. They rapidly create services that can scale and perform by designing and architecting and implementing cloud-native apps in an agile fashion in containers. That's just a small sampling of the skill set WWT brings to the table. They can solve your toughest challenges. Transform your business today with worldwide technology. In so many areas, WWT is a partner you'll keep going back to for years. They can help you change your business with apps that yield great user experiences, attract new clients, increase customer value, and they are just such great people. WWT.com/twit1, WWT, delivering business outcomes and modernizing IT infrastructure. Thank you, WWT, for supporting This Week in Google. And you are supporting us when you go to WWT.com/twit1. Thank you. It's time for the Google Changelog. Ta-da! Now, some new things in the Goog. Google's rebanding Hangouts chat. I don't know. Why even do stories about Hangouts anymore? Just endless. So it's just going to be Google Chat and Google Meet. And they're taking the word Hangouts out. So I don't know if this is just yet another reason to think Hangouts is dead.
Is this for everyone? The G Suite customers and normal people?
Just G Suite. There never was a Google Hangouts chat or Hangouts Meet for regular people, was there?
You just called it Hangouts.
There's Hangouts. It's just Hangouts. And that's still around. Yeah, don't believe me. This is confusing enough. So, yeah, they're changing the name of Hangouts, but only for G Suite customers. Frankly, I think they think nobody uses Hangouts anymore. I use it.
I use it all the time.
I know. It's the only cross-platform solution.
Google, why are you so googly?
They did a while ago, and it frustrates me no end, turn off the ability to make Hangouts the default SMS application on my Pixel. So that's the beginning of the end. It's just so frustrating. And yet, Google Fi's text messages still go to Hangouts. So you tell me.
I can't tell you.
I just
don't know.
Google Phone can now be installed, I don't know why you'd want to, on non-Pixel phones from the Play Store. They put the phone in the Play Store. And I guess it works. Since every phone comes with its own, phone icon and phone dialer, I don't know why you'd want the Google phone. It's not that great.
You used to change dialers all the time.
Really?
You did? Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. You were all prideful about how you changed dialers. No, I've got this great dialer. It's better than any other dialer. And I always say...
That's launchers, not dialers.
Oh, dialers.
Launchers is the front page.
Never mind.
Dialers is the little phone icon.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why you would want to, but apparently you can install it on your phone. Maybe people just like it better. It's designated as beta on the Google Play Store. Phone beta. Maybe there's features that, I don't know. Maybe there's features that, I don't know. I've always used Pixel phones. Google app is rolling out. Google app. I don't know what this headline means. Google app rolling out search tools time verbatim filtering on Android.
If you had Karsten on the phone, you could probably ask him to find out. You don't.
He put this one in. From a home screen widget to assistant integration. Oh, there is an app called the Google app. Yeah. The Google app is how the company wants you to search on Android. Well, but who does that? No one. It's always lacked one key feature compared to the mobile experience. The Google app beta yesterday finally added search tools and filters on Android. Oh, I use that all the time at google.com where you could choose, to look at the answers in news, images, shopping.
Yeah, I love that.
The tools.
You can do that here?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
The tools let you do time.
You couldn't do that here?
I guess not. I never use it. So the advanced tools, you hit search tools and you can choose what time frame the search is in, because I use that all the time because I don't want a 2-year-old article about Google's chip ambitions. I want one in the past, 24 hours or past week. So that's now there. You can also, you could even do custom ranges if you want. And you can also do either all results or verbatim results. Now, I didn't really need that because verbatim, I just put it in quotes. That does the same thing, I think, but unless I'm misunderstanding it. Anyway, that's, this is the kind of thing you get in the Google changelog. I'm just saying. It may not be a big deal. It's just in the changelog. YouTube's desktop site is now more touchscreen friendly. That has always bugged me. It's so hard to scroll around and all of it. They've updated the desktop site. So you can, they've got tweaked the 3-dot menu. They've enlarged icons. I've always found it hard to scrub in it, but I guess I don't know if that's part of the update or not. I'll have to play with it. YouTube's latest update also includes improvement to watch history, which now tells you which videos you watched on a particular day or date. Oh, isn't that nice? Additionally, there's a way to organize your playlists with a move to the top bottom option. So you don't have to drag and drop videos. You can move them to the top or move them to the bottom. And that's exciting.
You almost had Jeff hit the button.
I know. I was trying to.
Whoa.
I almost tricked him. And that
was cruel.
And he knows we got a lot more. Equally exciting. Google will show virtual care options more prominently in search results. The blog post said that over the coming week, it'll be easier to find telehealth services. In other words, not care options that require you to go somewhere, but stuff you can do virtually. They'll show up higher now in the search options because that's what we want you to do. We don't want you to get in the car. Stay home. Scooter X is way ahead of me. Google develops a virtual Braille keyboard for Android. It's rolling out. You may not have it right away. But this is really interesting. So there are 6 buttons on it, and you have to chord them. And you can, for instance, if you just tap the first, if dot 1, that's A, dot 1 and dot 2 are B, dot 1, 2, and 4 are C, etc., etc., etc. This is grade 1 or grade 2 Braille. Makes it easier for, yeah, I think that's cool. It's part of the Android Accessibility Suite update. Android 5.
No, it's cool. So this is for, they're typing this to.
You would show, I would guess you would show somebody. You would hold it up. I don't know.
No.
No?
No.
No, because you couldn't show someone if they're blind. Or are you blind? If you're blind, you're typing it and you're showing someone what you're trying to spell for them?
It says in the thing that it's hard to, you can attach a keyboard, but it's hard, it's time consuming. So if you just want to do a quick type answer to somebody, that you use this.
Yes.
So this is input. I got very confused too.
If you're blind, if you're low vision, I hear a sound that sounds like Karsten. Google completely ruined. We talked about this last week, the shared folders thing. Now a review. Google completely ruined. This is from Android Police. Shared folders in Drive. This is that thing where they're starting, instead of having duplicate files, they're doing shortcuts. I don't even, just read the article. I don't even want. I don't. We're
not into that.
And this, you'll be so happy, Jeff. Google is finally bringing dark mode to the YouTube TV app on Android. Hallelujah.
So Karsten put that in there. So Karsten, forget it. You're off the air.
No, it's good.
It's good for TV because it gives you a slightly more.
We should be able to hear Karsten.
Oh. Hi, Karsten.
Hello.
Hello. We can hear
Is that
him.
Karsten?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, let me embody him though. Go ahead, Karsten.
Hello. I'm calling you from my mountain lair in the leftovers of the East Bay. And apparently I am orange.
But you are wearing a nice bow tie, Karsten. And
yes,
a ruffled,
yes, of course.
And a ruffled shirt, I might add.
Yes.
And what is that? Is that a robe of some smoking jacket? Is that what it is?
It is a smoking jacket.
Excellent.
Looks like the shirt's coming out. I'll tuck it in here for you.
Yes,
Karsten.
that is not proper.
Well,
this is really taking.
I'm so proud of myself.
This is taking those Zoom effects to a whole new level, Karsten.
I feel that just having a puppet of someone.
I have been showing up to all of our meetings as a potato or a piece of bacon or a night elf or a glowing cloud.
Yeah, you were a glowing cloud yesterday. That was interesting. You looked radioactive.
Yes.
Now you just look like you had too many carrots.
Yep.
Boy, am I
You're doing a great job there.
Also, you don't blink much, do you?
No. Too much caffeine.
All right. Okay, so pro dark mode, except for Jeff.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea.
I do too.
I think TVs should be dark. You don't want a bright, big white. He agrees too. Karsten Puppet agrees.
He does that just to be mean to me. That's all.
Google Drive is rolling out an updated document scanner UI with better iconography. Thank you for putting these in here, Karsten. Because I didn't even notice any of this. Google will reduce. Oh, I did see this one. So if you have a Nest camera, it uses a lot of data because it's high def. I mean, you could turn it down, but Google is going to now unilaterally reduce Nest camera quality to ease burden on networks. And
you can opt back into it if you do decide you need the HD.
Oh, you can turn it up? Okay.
You can.
It's the same thing as having the default before 80p on YouTube. Most people just don't even notice and go with it.
Yeah. Well, and it's mostly because, there's so much happening over your home network right now anyway. So. And
we had announced some time ago that Google was going to remove the ability to support FTP services in Chrome. I think Firefox did that as well. It used to be you could type in a browser FTP:/ and an FTP site, and you'd get this site and download files and so forth. Thanks to the pandemic, they're going to leave it in.
Yay!
The government stuff is there. I put this in there. What I loved about it is they called it the venerable
function. FTP.
FTP.
File Transfer Protocol. Karsten, you can do the honors.
Which honors? Oh, and that's the Google changelog.
Jesus, man, we set you up and you got it.
I blame you for this, Jeff.
Yeah,
there could be latency issues. Come on,
I blame
y'all.
Jeff for this too.
He's talking down there.
All right, what else do we want to talk about?
TikTok. 1 billion installs on the Play Store. 1 billion.
I talked to a friend of mine at the office. TikTok finally told her, you've been on TikTok too long. Get off.
Oh, my God. You can do that?
Yeah, evidently.
That's nice.
She was on for like 2 hours.
Sometimes people just sit there, you get kind of stoned, and you just scroll and scroll and scroll. Quibi had 1.7 million downloads in the first week. And they've, one of the things I didn't... You opened TikTok.
I opened TikTok. Sorry, I'm lost to you now.
Yeah, see, this is the problem. It's so addictive.
Goodbye, Jeff.
He's scrolling. Yeah, scrolling.
Oh, baby and a dog. Oh,
every day I'm scrolling.
Nothing better. Okay, yeah. Wait for the end. It always tells me to wait for the end. Jeez. I've done it.
They all say wait for the end, and then nothing happens in the end.
Nothing happens.
And it's like
and
really
I'm sick
frustrating.
Of the talking dogs.
Yeah.
I'm sick of them.
I actually have the capability of just standing Karsten on the table like that.
With no legs. Oh, he's so sad.
Well, his legs go underneath the table. He's actually in a hole.
He's upstaging Stacey, and she does not like it.
I should put him up.
Oh, no, that's fine. Karsten gets it right there. No.
Hey,
I have way less ego than Jeff.
No. I want to be over by Stacey.
Now, if only Karsten could punch Leo.
Yes.
We're working on that capability.
There we go.
Give him a good slap.
Here, put your hand here. You can pinch me.
I think you can now sue him, Karsten.
Okay.
Quibi. Has anybody watched Quibi? Jeffrey Katzenberg, Meg Whitman short video attempt by Hollywood to co-opt the YouTube crowd. One of the things that frustrated me was that you had to watch it on the phone. They didn't have an iPad version, and you couldn't AirPlay it or cast it in any way, Chromecast or anything to your TV. It would block it. And now they say, oh, that was a feature we were going to add later. We'll add it now because of coronavirus.
Yeah, because no one else is going anywhere needing their short-term videos.
There's Karsten. Go ahead. Go ahead. Make yourself a glowing vegetable.
Whoa.
Do something. Do something fun.
Great lighting there, Karsten. Jeez. Rate my Skype set.
I'm in my mountain lair with beautiful scenery behind me. I don't have curtains.
If I get COVID-19 from handling your puppet, I'll be upset.
We would all be upset.
I didn't even think of this. The World Health Organization, remember Apple announced a COVID-19 or released a COVID-19 for the iPhone. There is now an official one from the World Health Organization. It's a WHO COVID-19 tips app, both Android and iOS. I don't know if the world needed this, but now the world has it.
World.
Why do we need this, I wonder? They do have a section called Who Mythbusters. Unfortunately, Adam Savage is not on it.
Is Adam Savage part of this?
But I think that's probably necessary. That's probably needed, right? Jeff, would the World Health Organization be on your list of trusted authorities?
Yes.
Okay.
Most certainly.
The president's been a little critical of them. In fact, I think he's withholding funding.
Yep.
Perfect timing, right? That's when you want to withhold funding. Because, well, I understand his upset because the World Health Organization seems to be a little careful not to offend China. Not that the president would ever do that.
Well, exactly.
But so there is some question about, and I think Taiwan particularly was upset with the World Health Organization that they are being a little bit overly judicious of China's feelings. But you know what? China's a big country. You got to take it all into account. Verizon, wow, says it's handling 800 million wireless calls on weekdays. That's more than they handle on Mother's Day, which used to be the busiest call day of the year.
So I want to talk to people using my voice as opposed to constantly texting them. And by God, none of my friends will talk to me.
On the phone.
They'll text me all day long. None of them will talk to me on the phone. It is so weird to me.
You're talking to bots. That's why. You're not talking to your friends. You're talking to bots. I hate to tell you, Stacey.
What about video calls? I
not talking to them.
thought that was the preferred way in the modern age.
I am too talking to my friends.
No, they're all using Google autocomplete. Sorry,
No,
Stacey.
they are not.
They don't want to talk to you. They just say, Google, talk to her.
Wait,
Okay?
all the ones that are yes or thumbs up.
Yeah, right.
That
See?
sounds good.
You're talking to bots. I told you.
Verizon said the length of phone calls is up by about a third as well on the average day.
Because you got nothing else to do, man.
And the number
what
of
is
cellular
daily?
calls for AT&T is up 35%. Wi-Fi-based calls, which AT&T supports, I don't think Verizon does, has doubled. Internet traffic up 20 to 25% from typical daily patterns, according to AT&T and Verizon. That means, I guess, internet traffic on your mobile device. So, there we go. We're making more calls than we ever have in the past.
I think my favorite coronavirus story, like how the coronavirus has changed us story, is from the Wall Street Journal talking about people injuring themselves doing home workouts. So new home workouts come with new aches and pains. And not because I'm mean, but because it is a thing. People are like, oh my God, I could finally try this type of class.
I did a few too many sit-ups, and I was in great agony for a whole evening. My stomach hurt so bad. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I wanted the coronavirus. It's like, kill me now. Serious. I don't know. I'm a wimp. I am a wimp. When I am in pain, when I get a headache and stuff, I just want to die. I want to crawl under a rock. I do not take pain well. Which is why I can't ever get sick. All right, let's wrap this up with things. Jeff is going to add to his numbers. He's going to add a word of the week. I think that's a very good
Karsten
idea.
likes that. I don't know why I'm being nice
Oh, is it a
Karsten.
German word?
I love the German word of the week.
German word of the week. Karsten is the voice of God is worse. Much worse.
At least he's wearing a Twitch shirt. Is that why it took us so long to get you on camera? You had to put on a shirt?
No, I always wear my Twitch shirt.
Oh, okay, Karsten.
Is Karsten Karsten? Are you in a law office? What are all the filing?
No,
cabinets?
this is just my office. This is
very
I'll
tiny.
show
What do
you.
you have to file? What do you have to
very
file?
tiny.
All those filing cabinets.
I guarantee you.
Let me show you my view. Hold on.
Filled with
Hold on.
project materials. He's a maker.
I had to kick off my microphone. This is my view.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Oh, shush, Karsten. Oh, shush.
Oh, look at that. That's gorgeous.
Oh, man.
What do you have, an oil rig out there? Now I know why Karsten can afford that house. Is that the bay?
Oh, this is the fort that my dad and my kids and I built.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
We
Everybody.
just built a garden for my
nice.
wife.
Look at this. What a nice house.
Ooh.
You're out in the East Bay. Is that Mount Diablo in the distance there?
That is Mount Tam.
Mount Tam. Oh, that's us.
I'm Mount Tam.
Yeah.
Tam is up in Marin, but you don't live
Yep.
in Marin. You're looking across the bay.
Yeah, I look across the bay at Mount Tam.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice.
It's pretty nice.
Welcome to MTV Cribs featuring Karsten Bondi. That's a nice crib you got there, Karsten.
Yep.
Now it's time for Stacey's pick of the week.
Oh, I thought we were doing Jeff's word. Okay.
We'll do you, then we do the word, then we do mine.
Okay. Ladies first.
Ladies first.
This week, I am showing you the Wise Band.
Oh, you got it.
$25.
Oh, you got it.
Yay.
I'm also
I
wearing
have
it with
that
my
too.
Fitbit. Beautiful screen. Yep. Can you see the screen?
Karsten has one
Yes.
too. See?
So this is
He was not
$24.99. I don't love the band.
The price is very good, but can you change
price
the
is
band
excellent.
out, or do you have to use their band?
You have to use. Oh, they have another strap. Is that what
okay.
we're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, what
Well,
is
no.
happening here?
I don't know. It's pretty fancy.
Jesus.
Wow.
Jeff is revolting.
Wow.
you're gone.
Jeff is revolting.
So,
Apparently, he
some
found the
things to
bin
know.
where we keep the shots we don't use. Go ahead.
You have completely lost
sorry.
control, Leo. Completely.
I didn't really want it.
I don't think this counts steps as accurately as my Fitbit. It's very different. It doesn't seem to do a great job tracking my heart rate during workouts. And it's a terrible sleep tracker.
Oh, this
it
sounds
has
like it's worth
Well, this
every
sounds like a
penny
great
of
endorsement, but it turns the
$24.
lights off.
It does turn the lights off, but to do it with Madame A or the shortcut, your phone needs to be within Bluetooth range, which in my case, usually my phone is downstairs when I want to do any of this, and I'll be upstairs. So it's kind of pointless for me because it needs to be able to communicate with your phone. So the band, I don't think it's that great, but
right.
it is cheap if that's your thing. Karsten does it. Karsten's like, screw the band.
Karsten's had a little too much to drink today.
I see.
I
though,
like the band.
I just went.
You
Do you like
the
it?
band, Karsten?
Yeah.
Why do you like it?
It's because it's $24.
Okay. But
It's super cheap. I don't know. I guess I've only had it for a day, so I don't know about its accuracy at anything, but it's nice to be able to have a little thing that I can shout out to turn off my lights.
It's interesting. Maybe Wise doesn't like the band either, because if you go to the website, it is not on the front page of their website. You have to go into the store to find it. But they have added a no-touch thermometer for $54.
Yes, they did that as part of their COVID response.
That's great. And that, by the way, I think having a everybody should have a no-touch thermometer, not just for now, but forever.
A no-touch?
What's the competitor of the Wise band?
Infrared
if you
thermometer.
spending
you just put
more.
it in the forehead.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the Fitbit is much better.
The Fitbit, yeah. So that's what I've got on the Fitbit.
Do you have
3,
a charge?
Charge 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Charge 4 just came out.
Yep.
Okay, but here's the other product.
What?
Ta-da!
Oh, you got the scale.
Is the Y scale for $19.99,
You know, that
and
looks
I recommend
exactly
if you
like
were-
the Y things scale.
Doesn't it look
Yeah.
like the Y scale?
I wonder if they got it from the same place. Although theirs is a lot cheaper, like $20. Wow.
$19.99 for this
Wow.
thing, plus I think $8.99 shipping. I'm going to recommend that if you were in the market for a digital scale, but you were like, I'm not paying $100
No,
or
this is
$120.
good. For that price, this is what you got to get.
It seems to be accurate. Wise says that is accurate plus or minus 0.5 pounds.
I believe
It seems to be accurate with my weight. And it also, on all of their metrics that they use impedance to detect body
fat,
muscle
body
mass,
composition, yeah.
body composition, visceral fat, my favorite. Let's see, protein, skeletal mass. They'll give you your basal metabolic rate based on your age and height
it's
and weight.
Bluetooth enabled. What app does it hook up to?
Wise. So you've got to open your Wise app,
okay.
and it'll pull all this data in. I found it terrifying to step on the scale. Now that I've stepped on the scale, I wish I hadn't, because now I'm going to have to do something about the fact that, like this weekend was my birthday. I ate half a cake and half a dozen donuts.
It's okay.
Happy birthday.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It was, it was Saturday. So
Karsten,
Sunday.
you're drooling a little bit. Let me.
Is that because of the cake? Because it was delicious. Anyway, so
cake.
Wise scale, go for it. Downside to both of these devices, the scale and the band do not integrate yet, but they will integrate with HealthKit, Google Fit, Samsung Fit, or whatever Samsung's exercise thing is, and Fitbit, but
Good.
not yet.
But not Apple.
No, HealthKit is in there.
Oh, HealthKit.
Apple
When you
HealthKit.
say HealthKit, that's of course Apple. Yes, I should have known.
When I say HealthKit, I
That
mean
means
Apple. HealthKit.
Unfortunately, it is not in stock. They had early access, which I guess you took advantage of. But get in line. You could probably get it sometime down the road. That's a great price. They'll sell a lot of those. I think that's a very.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but
Oh, happy birthday, Scooter X. We're birthday buddies.
Scooter X also. Happy birthday. He's our chat mod. Jeff, number, word, what do you got?
Well, we got a quick number is that Google and Facebook may have their first time ever declines in ad revenue thanks to the crisis.
Hallelujah.
So we'll see what the market says.
Yeah.
And my German word of the every 8 weeks
bad.
when I find one.
That's bad mojo. I apologize. I'm sorry, Google and Facebook. I'm sorry.
Oh.
What's your
Mundschutz?
Mundschutz. Wait a minute. Let me think what that means. Mund would be
World.
the world.
The world is full of schutz. The world is full of beep.
The world is full of schutz. No, I know schutz is not the German word for schutz. Schutz. I think schutz is a slide. So Mundschutz is the world is going downhill.
Mund is mouth.
Mouth.
Does that give you an idea?
So
What's
swallow?
the hot word right
Does it
now?
mean swallow? Oh, it's it's mouth spit.
No, it's mouth protection.
Oh, mask.
Mouth guard.
It's a mask.
Mundschutz.
Mundschutz.
Okay, German.
And so they have, there's the site, which I pointed to, has a large feature about how to Mundschutz, which I linked to there.
So, but the headlines uses the word maska. So is maska more...
It's the same, but I on the homepage is how to Mundschutz, so I thought, oh, Karsten, word. I
like Mundschutz. I'm going to make
nice.
some Mundschutz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a whiskey sour.
And then what? So that was the word and number. And I have a.
That was it.
Do you remember the $1 Million homepage?
Yeah,
you
Pixel
brought
one,
those
yes,
memories back with this one.
Yeah. So the $1 Million homepage, you'd buy a pixel or 2 or 3 or 10 or 100, and the guy made a lot of money. Made $1 million. This is the $1 Million metropolis. His goal is to sell advertising in all of these buildings. There are 500 buildings. He says, own a piece of internet history. It's a little, I have to say, it's a little more, you see, he has a lot of room for ad sales. But I have to say, it's a little more interesting, besides being 3D, than the $1 Million homepage. You can click on one of these ads, and it'll take you to the website. Well, I guess the $1 Million homepage did that too. Whoop-de-doo.
Whoop-de-doo.
Ad spots available. So you can see the tower, by clicking on it and see what.
20 years late, fella.
So I don't, $1 Million homepage, he sold out. I wonder if it's still around, actually.
I looked it up on Wikipedia, and 40% of the ads are now phantom.
Here it is.
Clicks don't work.
Boy, here it is.
$1 pixel. 37,100.
And it had the same slogan. Show this, Jeff. This is the $1 Million homepage, the original. Not nearly as clever, but he did sell 1 million. There were 1 million pixels. He sold
what year
all
was
1 million
this?
of them. Gosh, a long time ago.
Not 2009. It's been launched in 2005.
So there's a lot of this stuff is long gone, right?
Yeah.
Guzzle. All the beer, wine, cheese, and other delicacies you can guzzle. Chippendales, the premier brand in ladies' entertainment.
Women picks.
Advice and FAQs on dry skin conditions.
There's the Times of London above that.
Yeah, look at that. The Times of London. And it actually takes you, look at that, to the Times of London. Isn't that amazing? They bought a lot. How many pixels is that? That's a big one. So didn't this guy put himself through school or graduate school or something like that with this? I feel like it was.
He auctioned off the last 1,000 pixels on eBay. So the total was $1,037,100 gross.
Everything that it connects to is gone now. But the
40%.
But the $1 Million homepage lives on. I guess he's got to keep paying for this for a while. Here's the Xbox 360 store. That dates it.
We just got an Xbox.
IP Chicken. Wow, look at that. I remember those guys. Congratulations. What game are you playing?
I'm not playing.
Ling
Andrew
is on
is
here. Ling links to my very favorite page of all time. Ling's used cars.
Yep.
Now with more COVID. Now with Mundschutz.
Oh, wow.
The busiest webpage of all times. Also probably from 2005.
It's kind of the evil Craigslist. It hasn't changed.
It's never changed.
No.
It's never changed. In fact, I think we interviewed Ling. Didn't we?
I should totally show my daughter this so she can understand how much the web has improved.
I remember interviewing Ling, and she was wearing, I seem to remember, an orange life vest and a helmet for no apparent reason. Ladies and gentlemen, Karsten's passed out. I think it's time to say goodbye to all the family. No, I guess not.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Can't get rid of him. Oh,
You
man.
can't get rid of me.
You said his name 3 times, and he appeared. Thank you, Karsten. Karsten Bonnie, our producer, producing from home, as he has been during this crisis, as all our producers do. And thank you, all of you, for staying in the loop, working hard, even though you don't have to. Thank you to
Steve waving to Karsten.
Waving to Karsten. Here, I'll wave back.
Yeah, Karsten's going to wave back now.
Stacey Higginbotham is the queen of IoT, Stacey on IoT.com. That's where you can subscribe to her free newsletter. And don't forget the IoT podcast she does with Kevin Toffel. Also linked there at GigaStacey on the Twitter. Thank you, Stacey. Be well. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. And Stacey sent me an email in which she said, oh, and I could just hear your voice. Oh, you can make sourdough bread in the Thermomix. Oh, and
Did you try it?
No, because when I looked at the recipe, the Thermomix did this much, and you still had to do all the other stuff. So it really didn't. If it baked it in the Thermomix, then I'd be interested. But no, you still had to bake it in the oven, do the auto lease and the rise and all that stuff. And I do that already with my KitchenAid. It's a little old-fashioned, but it does the job. I have a dough hook and all of that. So I'm kind of done with sourdough. I'm one of the sourdough. Enough with the sourdough guys.
You're soured on sourdough.
I'm soured on sourdough. Jeff Jarvis, he's a professor at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. He's the director of the Townite Center of Entrepreneurial Journalism. CUNY. And are kids going to graduate? What are you going to do for graduation?
Oh, yeah. No, I did class. I just wrote a post about how I did my class online.
I've been seeing all these posts, seniors, pictures of seniors. Is that related to the fact
it's somehow giving tribute to the seniors
who don't get to walk? So
I mean, it is. If I were a senior,
sad.
Less so college, but high school is. I feel bad for high school seniors.
I know some people who are very upset about not being able to graduate. Yeah. Or no, they're going to graduate, but they're not going to be able to walk.
And they're not going to be able to go to prom. They're not going to be able to do some of them did spring break trips, but it's a big deal.
Just remember, you're doing it for your elders, people like me and Jeff.
My mother is still was to her dying day was mad at me. I didn't go to my college graduation.
Oh.
I walked out of my college graduation.
You walked out of it?
Yeah, it was so long and boring. And I was mad because I was in an honor
Stacey's
society.
Standards.
And you didn't get a mention?
They didn't mention my honors status. I was like, pfft. So I ducked out right after I walked.
Oh,
my parents, I showed up behind them and they're like, what? How'd you do that? What are you doing? Let's go eat.
Oh, that's cute. Are
we done?
Not yet. Sorry.
Yeah, we're done.
Oh, okay. I got to go.
Go. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Jeff.
We do This Week in Google every Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 20:30 UTC. If you want to watch live, there's a live stream at twit.tv/live, also live audio. You can listen live. You can also ask your Echo or your Google Home. You could say, play Twit Live. And in general, it will play the live stream, so you can do it that way. We have a website where on-demand versions of the show go. We DVR it, so you don't have to. Just go to twit.tv/twig. Best thing to do, subscribe in your favorite podcast application, and that way you'll get it the minute it's available late Wednesday afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Karsten. We'll see you next week on Twig. Bye-bye.